killers and renegades, liars and thieves, I'm going to tell you how to do your makeup. And by your makeup, I mean Marius's makeup. Now, as you can see, I have already done the makeup. This is because this is my fourth take, and I kept missaving the file, and so I have a very janky collection of bits, which I'm going to try and piece together into something coherent. Fair warning, I'm going to go straight into in a minute how I did the blue eyeshadow, and then I'm going to go from there. It's not this blue eyeshadow. That bit I messed up recording again, so that will maybe not quite fit the line of this. This is also a bit ratty around the edges. Again, it's the fourth time I've done it. It just stopped going right. That being said, the Death of the Mechanisms makeup, I spent bloody ages looking for a good picture of Marius's face before I remembered that I had like a bunch of pictures from the green room on my phone. So that was stupid. It's been like however long it's been, 12,000 marches since Death of the Mechanisms. So this has been a bit of trial and error trying to remember how I did it. But it's fairly simple. And it's a makeup look that in various iterations I've done a bunch of times, like in my life, in different colours and with different other makeup. You don't need very much for it. I am not a person who uses foundation or primer. Probably should, but I don't. So I'm going to quickly go through the tools of the trade here. Key thing is, we've got this, which is the Urban Decay Vice palette. I have no idea if you can still get this. I bought this in 2012, I think, on clearance, as my first like proper makeup palette, and I've never really stopped. It's a very good palette. It's various metallics, but it's mostly like browns and golds, and since I left my steampunk phase, I mostly use brights, so I've had limited use of it over the years. So there's only really two colours in this we need to worry about. This one is Penny Lane. It's a sort of coppery gold. And this one is Unhinged, which is well, you guys keep calling it green makeup. It's I would call it teal to turquoise. I guess like a greeny blue. As you can see, these are by quite a long way the two things in this palette I've used the most, so they're really just around the edges. But those are the two key colours. You can see the Unhinged there, and then the Penny Lane over the top. There's a little bit more that I've used here though. One of them is this really shit palette. This is a very cheap one that I got because I lost my favourite bright coloured palette, and I wanted to do rainbow eyeshadow at short notice, so I just ordered this off Amazon for like £5. So it's just like an electric colours palette, and I'm going to use the orange for these low lights, shadings, just to make the colour pop a bit more, because the gold is quite close to skin tone, especially for Kofi. For me, it's a bit further away from my skin tone. The gold is very similar to Kofi's natural tone, so I have got 3 brushes which will come into play constantly. I don't know what brushes are called. I just got these like free as corporate merch at a convention one time. This is for blending. I don't use this very much in the video. It's just for really softening up the edges. And as you can see, I got a bit lazy, so the edges aren't the softest they could be. And then I've got 2 brushes. I call this one the medium one, and this one the small one. These are the bulk of it. You're going to want to use the flat sides for blending and the sharp edges for drawing the lines. I think these are phenomenally basic. I think they're like eyeliner and eyeshadow and lip liner brushes, all fulfill a similar role. There is a little little bit more going on here. You can see there's this very dark teal at the top. This is this eyeliner. Do not buy this eyeliner. This eyeliner is absolute garbage. Like, genuinely, it is not eye safe. I have put it on my eyes. It hurts them. It makes them sting. It makes them water. It smudges immediately. But it's kind of fine for bits of your face that are not eyes. So it's very important with this one. And you'll catch me later nearly sticking it on my eyelid and then taking it away again very rapidly. It's bad, but it's a lovely colour and it matches really beautifully with the Urban Decay eyeshadow. And then the last colour I'm using is this. Now, I got this off Morgan. It's the Stargazer Gold Special Effects paint. You can get it in like a lot of goth shops, a lot of like alternative shops. But I got this one off Morgan, and it's the one that he used to do the Drumbot Brian costume for the Halloween Mechanisms show. As I recall, Ben uses the same brand for Brian, but he's got like a massive tub of it. But for my purposes, this little tube is plenty, and ironically, unlike the eyeliner, this is extremely eye safe. Morgan was, after he used it for the Halloween Mechanisms gig, Morgan was mostly using it for eyeshadow, and it's got this lovely like bright opaque pop. You can almost maybe see it. It's just lining the top of that line there. I'm showing you the bad side. I really messed up this side. The top of that line there. There is one other tool that I want you to make sure you have to hand, because you will need it, and that is a metric fuck ton of makeup wipes. Particularly early on when you're like practicing these kind of very dramatic looks, the clean cut of the line is very important. Like getting a nice sharp differentiation between the two colours, and most of the time the best way you're going to get a really sharp line, if you mess up even a little bit, is just to come back in after you've done the basic makeup and done the basic eyeshadow, and just well, I'll probably show you later, but just kind of cut that line cleanly with the corner of a wipe. I also use it to clean my brushes. I don't know if that is correct. I think I'm probably meant to wash my brushes, but I am not a makeup person. And also, please don't follow my example. Like, all of this stuff is old and out of date, and also not very clean. I really shouldn't be exposing myself like this, but please listen to people who know what they're doing, and not to me about doing makeup safely and sanitarily. This is just about how to do it aesthetically. Okay, so I am going to go now and just clean this off my face, and then I'll come back in and show you the blue, and we'll go from there. Okay, so my face is more or less clean. There's a bit of staining, but I'm gonna chat a little bit about the principle here. Let me just put my glasses on real quick. That means I'm about to say something intellectual and smart. No, it actually just means I've been without my glasses for too long and my head's starting to ache a bit. So again, I've got this wee picture that I'm working from, which is from the green room at Death of the Mechanisms. But this wasn't the first time I did this look with Kofi. We did a few different trial runs. The night before, we were trying on different outfits, trying out different looks. I don't know if you can see this. The initial look was a lot more low key. It was just a kind of a sharp cut, because originally what I had planned was. Usually when I've done this look, I've kind of done like a a full line, like it comes across the nose, it just cuts the face in half. But what we found was on Kofi, that made his face look very broad, very squat, not very flattering. It wasn't quite a great look. So what we decided to do instead was to really emphasise the line of his nose. Really pull out the shapes of his face, because I think one of the things that's really nice about Kofi's face is he's got this really dramatic bone structure, like really sharp, really strong cheekbones, and really quite sharp eye sockets, powerful brow. And I kind of just wanted to pull that out, especially because when we've done drawings of Marius, he's kind of a little bit more angular than Kofi is. You know, when I was designing him, when I was drawing him for that piece of artwork I did for Kofi's advisory was Marius is shorter, he's thinner, and he's sharper. He's a lot more angular, so I kind of wanted to pull that out, but also I just kind of wanted to play. Like, I've wanted to play with these colours on Kofi's Marius look for so long. Like the kind of teal and gold thing is really good with his skin tone. I really like the green and gold, or green and bronze, that he does with the brocade coat. So I kind of wanted to lean into that. We tried out quite a lot of looks with it. We tried all of the Marius coats, several different waistcoats, several different neckerchiefs. We settled on the Death of the Mechanisms look after a lot of backing and forthing the previous night. So that's enough of that waffle. The important thing is, how do you do it? So we're starting in with the blue, or the teal, which, as I said, is the Unhinged there. And it's really simple. So that's the wrong brush. So I'm using the small brush, and I'm just going to pick up just a wee bit of the blue there, and I'm going to come from the corner of the eye, and I'm just trying to come up very smoothly in a nice curve. I say very smoothly and then immediately stutter. Just up to the top of the cheekbone. We're coming to about halfway across the temple here. It's got a little bit of an upward curve, but it should be a smooth curve, because what you want is, like, when your eye's closed, it just follows the line of that lid. And then what we're going to do, we're just going to build it up a bit here. We've got like a triangle of strong blue there. Like that. And we're going to add just a little bit more in the corner there. So we've got this kind of like curve coming down there. Then we're going to continue this line. Sorry, covering my mouth. We're going to continue this line under the eye. We're not going into the waterline, which is just going to wash straight out again, because it is just powder eyeshadow. But we're just going to pull the eye down to straighten it out and just go as close up to the bottom of the lashes as we can. And again, kind of building into that corner of the eye is nice. So if I just close my eyes and look up, I don't know if you can see that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry this line on. I'm following the line of the bottom lid to just outside the corner of the eye, sort of like a millimetre or two away from the corner of the eye. And I'm kind of then going to follow the line of the upper lid, like when my eye is open, I'm going to follow the line of the upper lid, so it's got a slight curve to it, like that, sort of like a kind of Egyptian kohl look. And then I'm just going to come straight down. Well, not straight down, actually, it's angled slightly. I'm following the line of my eye socket there. Just going to pull it out, just like that. So it's got sort of an arrow, quite a sharp turn here. Now, the important thing is and I'm going to say this again later, it really doesn't matter where makeup goes, like in the this kind of triangle of your face. That's all the blue zone. But the important thing is that nothing goes above this line, or this side of this line. Like, we are only moving into this triangle. So I'm moving to a bigger brush here, and I'm just going to load that back up with the Unhinged there. And all I'm doing is I'm doing lots of little short strokes down from the line, kind of following again this curve here. And we're going to do that as much as we like, really. You know, it's stage makeup. Even if you're just doing it to go around, it's stage makeup. It's meant to be dramatic. I very much was designing this after the kind of Adamant, new wave 80s vibes. Like, I want to be very new romantic with it. I want it to be over the top and excessive. And again, you see I'm just little short strokes and never ever coming over the top of that line, and continuing to describe that this curve here. So effectively the concept here is it's sort of contouring. It's not quite contouring, because sometimes there are shadows where you'd want, like in conventional contouring, you'd want to like counter the shadows, but it's about picking out the features. So we're putting shadow here because that makes the cheekbone look lighter. It emphasises this part of the cheekbone more, and we're putting shadow here because that, again, that's emphasising the cheekbone. And I'm coming down into quite a sharp curve point here. Again, it's about, you know, where are the bones in the face, and following those. And then I'm just, every time you're starting at the line, the temptation is to do lots of short strokes down and down and down. If you do that, you will not get a nice blend. You need to be building it up at the top. We can come back in, if it feels a bit raggy, we can come back in and blend it out a bit more. But right now, it's just about getting in that initial shape, and then, as I say, we can blend it out a bit more. We can come in with the big brush, and I'm holding it by this so I get this little puff here, and just scrub it around. And I haven't loaded this with any makeup, and that's important because that means I'm just pulling out what's already there. So this is, it's contouring and it's not contouring. It's for fun, not for beauty. I think I told this story in a different take, so I'm going to tell it here. I don't understand how to do makeup beautifully, or, you know, makeup to look beautiful. I've only ever really done it for fun, and I had this absolute revelation when I was probably 18, 19, when I abruptly realised I'd spent so long thinking I didn't know how to do makeup, and I just very suddenly went, but I do know how to paint, you know? And makeup is just paint, and particularly this kind of like quasi-contouring makeup. It's just about knowing where the shadows and bones should be in the face and then rolling with that. So that's what I'm doing, and that's a really, really smooth blend here. I might just build it up just a tiny bit there, and basically you can keep doing this ad infinitum, you know. You can do it till you're happy with it. And then I'm going to come in on the other side. So yeah, so I noticed that you can just paint on your face. If you don't think that you're trying to be beautiful, if you kind of get away from that idea, you know, not that there's anything wrong with trying to be beautiful, but actually that wasn't what I wanted. I wanted to look dramatic and exciting. Or you always want to come out from the corner, and I always forget, because otherwise the skin kind of scrunches up and you won't get a clean line. But one of the things that I find funniest is that some people really struggle to get that. Like, I remember this one time I was at this this thing that happens every 6 months down in England, the Whitby Goth weekend, and I used to go religiously, and I used to stay with this friend up there, and I remember I was I'd come in from the day and I was getting ready for the night, and I was painting my face like a steampunk robot. I was like shading in photorealistic rivets and whatever. That was the plan anyway. But like I was just putting on my base, my foundation. My foundation is like, in this instance, because I was doing like a metallic robot, I was just sponging white face paint onto my face. And this absolute skeevy guy, who was also staying with this friend, came over and sat down next to me on the sofa, and he'd been hitting on me for ages. And he sat down next to me while I was sponging this white children's face paint all over my face. I was like, "You're so beautiful, you don't need to wear that, you know. You don't need makeup to be pretty." And I'm just sitting there with like this this flat palette of like Snazaroo children's face paint in my hand, like utterly dumbstruck. Like, I don't. What did you think was happening here? Like, did you think I was very profoundly under the misapprehension that what men want is ghost-faced robots? Like, so it's really fun doing makeup for this kind of thing, because people stop expecting you to be doing it right, and they just kind of roll with the fact that you're painting your face like an idiot, which is all I have ever wanted. Like, I've tried doing like proper contouring, like you know, paint your face to look like a beautiful person, and I just think I look worse with it on. I think it makes me look flat, and that's not the way it should be. Like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but having relinquished the responsibility to look nice and fully embraced the responsibility to look like an absolute weirdo, suddenly I'm very good at makeup, and you can too. Like, I say it a lot, but there's really no makeup skill that isn't transferable from art. It's brushwork. If you're I'm really sodding this up, it's fine. I'm about to cut to a version where I did it differently anyway. You know, if it's brushwork, if you are a painter of any kind, if you have any experience working with colour in traditional media, then you know how to do this. Even if you just do pencil drawings, it's just about having a steady hand and knowing how to compensate for your mistakes. You know, it's just art. And that's easy, you know. It's not easy, it's a whole other discipline. In terms of, you know, picking colours, in terms of designing styles, like, if you can do it for a character on the paper, you can do it for yourself. There are complications, like, for example, as I've mentioned, I'm like 50% blind in this eye, and I really sometimes struggle with seeing what I'm doing when I'm doing something on this eyelid, because I have to have this eye closed, and this is the eye I do my seeing from. You know, the texture is different. There's a lot more stretch and spring than there is to like paper or canvas, and of course there's a kind of three-dimensionality to it, but ultimately all of that stuff is pretty much surmountable with practice. So I said I was going to talk to you about that's filthy, I'll get a new one. I said I was going to talk to you briefly about using the wipes, and all that is, I haven't really messed anything up too badly, but if I want, for example, if I want this to be sharper, all I'm doing is I'm just I'm going to fold it to a sharp corner, and I'm just going to come in and always pulling with the line, we're not running up into it, and just kind of pulling away, and as you can see, as you can theoretically see, that gives us quite a crisp, clean line. I don't think you should need it if you're able to do it all in one stroke. The problem is if, like, you jump, or if your hand shakes, or if you kind of crumple your skin up a bit and get caught in a crease. you might have like little sketch lines. Now we are going to go back over this line later, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but the cleaner we can get this this gap between the bit that's got makeup on it and the bit that hasn't, the better it's going to look at the end. So I'm going to magically have got different blue makeup on because I'm now going to cut to a different take. 3, 2, 1. So I've done the blue, I was coming in with the gold and waffling about that, so yeah. So as I said, this is Penny Lane, and I've done a little bit here, you can see, over the eyelid and up in the temple there, and it's just like the blue. Like, we're being very mindful of the line. What we don't want is to blur the colour between the two, but I'm coming in with like the edge of the brush there and just describing the top of that line with the gold. And I was just saying before I realised that this recording wasn't working, that I'm using the Penny Lane in the Urban Decay Vice palette, but any sort of warm coppery gold would go really well with a metallic blue, I think. And I was waxing lyrical about the gold tones in Kofi's skin, but that's not really relevant. That's just musing to fill talky time. So yeah, as we can see, I'm coming in up on the corners there. Again, like, even more so than on the cheekbones, big is better here, especially because, like, in the situation that I was putting this on Kofi, it was quite low light. This is quite a similar colour to his natural skin tone, so I was kind of pulling it all the way up to the forehead, really, and describing this like the arch of his brow, and then I will do the other eye in just a sec, but I'm just going to show you since I'm on this track. I've got the big brush and I'm just gonna really go to town on blending here. I can expose my little bald spot there. Because again, like, as with the cheekbone, it really doesn't matter where the makeup goes as long as it does not go. Well, with the blue it was above the line, with the gold it's below the line. And again, you know, this triangle is a blue triangle. This triangle should not be impacted by the gold. So we've got that like brow there. And then I'm just going to go back to the medium brush real quick and just coming down along the top of the blue there and just a tiny bit down that blue line, but really not very far. And then I'm just going to blend it outwards towards the bridge of the nose. Again, being really, really careful of not smudging that line, which does not come across in the photos because they were all taken after Kofi had been on stage under the lights, playing his violin like an absolute mental case. So that's an insensitive wording. So yeah, so right now I've just described that curve there, and if I close my eyes there, and I'm just going to top that up a bit because the gold is nice, you can see it describes a nice straight line. We've got no gap between the blue and the gold. And then I'm going to try and break this up a bit more actually, because then I won't lose the whole video when I inevitably fail to export it right. So I'm going to go away and do the same on the other side and then come back. Okie dokie, so I've done the sort of general colour there. I'm just going to come back round the nose, which is always a bit of a challenge because I can't see what I'm doing, because as I mentioned earlier, I am moderately blind in this eye, so I'm really quite reliant on not covering this eye up. Okay, so more or less after that, just going to blend it out up top. Now, the important thing is, like, I really want to come in totally in the shadows, because what's really nice about this look, in my opinion, and what I was kind of aiming for, is to really pick up a bit of shine in the shadows, a bit of glow, if that makes sense. So that's why we're really going heavy in the temples. You cannot go too heavy as long as you don't smudge your lines. So we're going like full brass head here, like layers and layers and layers and layers. Now I'm dropping eyeshadow on my desk. And also right here in the corner of the eye, which is very much like, if you're doing a smoky eye, this is where they'll tell you to put some white in. It's just about, you know, this is like one of the darkest shadows on your face, so it's nice to have some kind of gleam in it. Cool. So we've got that. On Kofi, I tried to put a sort of like a square angle in there. But the thing is, me and Kofi have really differently shaped faces, and particularly around the nose and brow area. Like, it's just a different face, and presumably your face is also different to mine and to Kofi's, so it's about kind of feeling it out. So with Kofi, I kind of went across and straight down, but that's not the shape my brows are. I have quite a defined this bit, doobity doop. And he has quite a soft curve coming out of his eye socket, whereas I have quite a sharp one. So that's both of our basic colours laid out. So now we're going to come in with some other colours just to kind of interesting it up a bit, and particularly with the gold, it's very it's quite subtle, and subtle is not what we are going for here. We are going for punch. Admittedly, it doesn't punch that hard because a lot of people have not noticed that Kofi is wearing anything above the blue, or the green. A lot of people call this green, and I can't tell if it's just that I think it's blue and other people think it's green, or that it's like a lighting thing. It's teal, is what I would call it if I was pressed. Anyway, so I've got my my rainbow palette, my really cheap shitty one. It would be nicer if I had like a metallic one, I think, but I only have like metallic browny golds, and I really wanted to get a bit more of a colour pop, particularly like something that is opposite to this, that really pulls out the fact that these are kind of complementary colours. I want the blue and the orange. Classic colour theory there. So I've just got a little bit of this orange here. And all I'm doing is the places I mentioned, the shadowed places. Well, actually not as much here. Here we want to leave it mostly gold, but we do want to come in on the crease of the eye. Quite lightly, but just enough. And just build into the outer corner of the eye there. Pulling the faces again. Just to give a little bit more shape, really, and just emphasize it. And mostly we're going to go really ham up in the temples there, just in this little triangle here, because the closer it gets to the blue, the oranger we want it. We don't need it to be orange away from the blue. We want it to blend nicely and naturally out into skin. But right here, what we want is this real pop of like two colours next to each other. Bum 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 bum. Can't see what I'm doing on this side. It's possible I'm covering my face, in which case I'm sorry. I'm using some very basic software, which is why I'm recording this for the doopity doops time. And I can't watch what I'm doing on camera, because if I try with the mic on, I just get like murderous feedback, and I'm not wearing earphones while I do my makeup because I'll get in a rectangle. Again, it's so much easier to get this even on somebody else's face because you can kind of look much more readily face on in even light. Right now this side of my face is kind of in shadow because the lamp's over there. I considered getting my I do actually have like a photography light box, but it's like buried in the back of my wardrobe and I just simply did not have the energy to drag it out. I'm sorry. I care deeply for all of you, but not enough to cause a wardrobe avalanche. So I'm just going to blend that out, and I'm not just going to come in, I've reached for the big brush, I'm not just going to come in with the big brush. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in over the top with a little bit more of the gold, just so that it blends more seamlessly. We're just painting over and painting over and painting over. I'm so annoyed. I'm going to miss saying something that I actually want to say because I can't remember which take is which. And my face has been scrubbed. I swear it normally looks better than this. And maybe also I'm just gonna put a little orange up here. Again, it's about emphasising the shape of the face, and it's just pulling out the form of the brow bones, and then again like coming in and blending it out with the gold, really just painting over the whole thing. Again, it is about the painting. It's about treating your face as you would if you were drawing. I know a lot of the people who've expressed a lot of interest in Marius's face paint for DTTM have been real talented artists, so I have a lot of faith in you guys that you can apply that art. It's a very transferable skill, really. Like, there's some specific knacks to doing it on your own face, but it's really just practice, and like the theory of doing like costume makeup is just, it's painting. And once you get over that initial hump, you're free. Okay, so that's that. Now, I'm squinting, my eyesight is not good enough for this. Now we have our two face paints. So we've got the Drumbot Brian face paint, and we've got the shit eyeliner. So I'm going to come in with the shit eyeliner first. And this is quite fast drying, so I need to do this quite neatly, quite quickly. So all I'm doing is, no, I'm not doing that because putting it near my eyes is a terrible idea. This stuff makes me weep. Like, it stings, which is always a bad sign, but it also just makes my eyes water like crazy. So what I'm doing, and that's always a shame because it like runs my face, my makeup that I've put effort into. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to start at the corner of my eye there. Going slightly down and out. Again, it doesn't need to be neat on the bottom, just needs to be neat on the top. Bring it across, and then I'm just going to go a little heavier here. Put like a little triangle in the corner of my eye, and a little heavier here. Put like a little triangle at the top of the cheekbone. And then what I'm going to do very quickly before that dries is blend, 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 blend. I'm using my little brush because this is the one I use for eyeliner, so I don't have to worry about clogging it up quite as badly. The problem with blending eyeliner using brushes is that it really... So the advantage of this, and I think you can see this quite quickly, is that the eyeliner has a much more intense colour than the eyeshadow. It blends a little less firmly, and I'm very lucky because this horrible shitty eyeliner matches nearly perfectly with the teal eyeshadow that I'm using, the whatever it's called, Unhinged. So you can see it's quite a seamless blend. I mean, it's a bit scratchy, but that's fine because we can just go over it with the eyeshadow. So then I'm just going to do that the same on the other side, which is harder because I have to reach across my face. Got a bit in my eye, I can feel it watering. Weighing it up again in the outer corner, adding a bit more weight over here. Again, I'm describing this lovely curve that goes along the top of the cheekbone. It's all about the contouring. Now, you may say one of these sides is a lot heavier than the other, and I will say, yes, you are correct. What are you gonna do? I never claimed to be good at this. I just said that I did it. And again, you know, it is much easier to do on somebody else, where you can turn their face around in the light and flip. Bugger that up a bit. But it's fine. It'll all come out in the wash. It's just a little bit less neat. You can see, having said don't go over the lines, don't go over the lines, I have flinched at the last minute and had to move my line, which is not ideal because now it will be a bit muddy. But luckily the eyeliner is a lot more opaque than the eyeshadow, so it covers a multitude of sins. Unluckily, it creates a multitude of sins, so I had this lovely clean line and now I do not. However, as I have mentioned, this is my doobity-doops take, so I am not going to worry about it. I've got one good side, you can see. Sorry about the coughing. I am really allergic to something in my room. Every time I think, oh, I've got the COVID, I'm going to die. And it's never the coves, because I go outside, or even like out into the living room, and I'm fine. Okay. So, that's the blue, and we can already see it's got, like, because it's got such a dense colour, it really increases the pop. So, like I said I'm just gonna come in, I've got a little bit more of the blue eyeshadow on the brush there. And actually now I'm thinking about it, like the fact that people keep calling this green is probably why I would recommend a coppery gold to go with it, because you've got to get the contrast right, and actually a colder gold, a more greenish gold, won't have that same contrast with it, whereas if this was a more a purpley blue or a royal blue, it would I think it would vibe quite well with like a cooler gold. It's a lot of it is about your skin tone. Like, these are not actually the colours. Well, the orangey isn't really the colour I would choose for my own skin. But I said I was going to replicate what I did for Kofi, so that's what I'm doing. I would go redder and less orange. I'd use the same gold. You can, again, you can see from the palette that I use both of these a lot. These are my absolute favourites. But see, my hands are filthy now. That's what happens when you make up and then wash off your face 20 fucking times. Apologies for the swearing. I can't be trusted, so I'm just gonna baby wipe my hands off. Okay, so that's our blue basically done. So there is the last little bit there, which is coming in with the gold. Like I said, this is Drumbot Brown paint. It's really good, and ironically, unlike the eyeliner, eye safe. So where I stopped the eyeliner at the outer corner of the eye, I'm going to bring the gold paint over the top of the eye and just define this line. It's a little darker, or a little, I guess, like the eyeliner, it's a little more opaque than the eyeshadow. So in some lights it looks lighter, and in some lights it looks quite dark, which is, it's very obvious with Brian when he's got his whole face painted. Like, it really darkens the whole skin tone because it kind of flattens it out. and it's high coverage as foundations go. So I've just squeezed a wee bit onto the back of my hand there to use, and I'm using my small brush, and I'm just going to get a little bit on the brush there and just pull some ugly faces while I do this. Simply cannot be done. I'm goofing this up. What I'm trying to do, but you know, it's sort of multiplying my mistakes. I'm trying to just come along with the edge of the brush. This side's very messy. I'll turn my head this way every time I try and show this to the camera. Just get a really clean line across. Theoretically, I've just slapped my hand down into the thing. I did such a good take of this the first time, and the makeup looked so much better. C'est la vie. So yeah, I'm gonna come along the top lid there, and I'm following this line down for the corner there, and a little bit there, but actually I'm mostly focusing on this this space here in the corner of the eye. It's about really defining that that shape of the eye socket there, and also kind of maintaining that contrast, even though we currently don't have like such a sharp blue line. Let's try this on the good side and see if I can do it without fucking it up. See, this is the side. This is the side I can see out of. Sorry, I keep pausing and I'm just checking that the recording's still running, because I do not want to do this for however manyth time. So just along the lid. And we're trying to cover as little of the lid as possible, really. This wants to be like as fine a line as possible. It really is just an outline, not a thing that is not, it's not eyeshadow, it's eyeliner, you know. Then following that down a bit, we're not going all the way down that line, we're just going a little bit, and then blend out into the corner of the eye. There we go. And effectively that's it, I think. We will go away. I don't know who we is. I will go away. So I am sorry this is such a disaster. I'm so annoyed. This is like my first time appearing on camera on purpose in about 3 years, and I just don't I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not using the software I used to use for stuff, and I just could not work out what I was doing, and I lost 3 consecutive takes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go away and record an intro to this video, and then take all of this face paint off and redo the blue bit so you can see what I've done there, which you will have already seen. That's happened for you. We're in different time streams, but just to overview it, you can see the whole thing takes this kind of curve across the face. It's about defining the features, and ultimately it should be a really clean line when your eyes are shut. Like, this line ought to follow the line of your eyes. It shouldn't be like a sudden up or a sudden down. It's just a nice smooth line out. It looks a bit orange and a bit fake tanny in this light on me, but that's because, again, it is designed for not this scenario. Anyway, go away, have fun with it. Like, like I said, this is what I did for Marius, but any colour range, any makeup brand, I think the key things are strong contrast, complementary colours ideally, and the metallics really help, but I think like a glitter would also work. If you can find an eyeliner or a paint that matches your main colour, I think that really helps. I don't think it's like essential. Like you could see before I put the eyeliner on, there was still that really nice crisp cut. It just adds that little je ne sais quoi. I don't know how to finish videos. I'm going now because I have stuck a brush in the corner of my eye and it's watering uncontrollably.